Right. So welcome, Ohana, to our May meeting. And our agenda for this meeting is that we learn coding and Apex triggers and add it to our skills as awesome admins. And Erika, who's an awesome admin herself, a super mom, alumni, and my batchmate of in Rad Women, will teach us some tricks and tips to clear our concepts in coding. Towards the end of the her session, we'll have one winner for the certification voucher. So we will have a quiz, and there are about 7 questions. And if whoever wins that quiz will get the certification voucher. So buckle up, everyone, and all the best. And Tim is the director of marketing in Inspire Planner, and he will walk us through the main features of Inspire Planner. And all the participants can try Inspire Planner in their orgs for additional time, which Tim can specify, the extra time period of trial period he can offer. And yeah, and let's go to the next. Yeah, this is a bit of my introduction. I'm Shiba Tukral, a group leader of San Ramon Group. And moving from here, I know that all of you all are very social people, and so do connect with us on the social media. We have presence in Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and I'll be posting all these links in the chat just after my introduction gets over. All these chat links I will post, and you can please connect with me and with the group. Also, please let us know any new updates, any super badges, certifications, new job breaks anyone has. We like to celebrate with you. And Mother's Day was this month, May, so I like to say something about mothers and my own mother. So as Abraham Lincoln said, all that I am or ever hope to be, I owe it to my angel mother. And that really resonated with me. And also just to give you a little tip, since I'll be sharing a lot of links for coding resources and the social media links, there are 3 dots at the bottom of the chat screen through which you can save all those links and benefit out of those links that I'll be sharing, which will complement the learning that Erika will give us of Apex triggers and what I learned from Rad Code as well. So these are the coding resources that I'll be sharing. It's Women Code Heroes, which will really influence me and help me. I'll be sharing all these links: Apex Design Best Practices and Ohana Slack, to name a few, are really good ones to join and add to your list. And these are some of the good resources in as blogs, which can help you in automation and general Apex study. And so I'll be sharing those links. I'll be posting in the chat right after this. And then these are a few of the findings, Trailhead News, radio, podcasts, etc., that if you follow, it will be really useful. And yes, I give it over to our super awesome admin stroke developer, Erika. Please take it over. Thank you.
All right, so let me share my screen. Okay, let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see.
Yeah, okay,
yeah.
All right. Brilliant. So for the ones who joined a little bit later today, this is the continuation of Apex Trigger Part 1. So on the Part 1, we look at some of the terminology, what it means and when you're supposed to read. And then today we're going to focus on what is a trigger in the real world. So not, you know, what you're going to see on David Liu, Apex Academy, or on Trailhead. Like, it's like, what is a trigger in the real world, the best practice, and we're going to touch into test the class. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. So a disclaimer, today I'm very tired because it's late in the UK. Usually by that time I'm tired and I have an exhausting day. So if anyone is a developer here and hear me saying something is wrong, I will not take it personally, but please raise your hand, okay? Because first, I'm a junior, so I'm not an expert, I'm a junior, and I am very tired, so it is possible. So if there is somebody who hear me saying something is wrong or disagree, raise your hand. If I'm going too fast or you have a question, you can just put it on the chat and I will ask Shiba just to interrupt me and say, oh, somebody asked that. Just in case you don't remember or you weren't here on part 1, or I didn't mention something and you can't follow. Today we have the time, so I can, you know, just go a little rewind and went back. So the best practice for a trigger is to have only one trigger per object. And so the funny story is I was doing my trailheads and all those like little calls that you can do. And I was like, Jesus, I was scared to open a trigger in my work because I assumed that it will be thousands of lines because it will be hundreds of methods. And the reality, it's very different. You do have a trigger that it's very small, and I will show you how it looks like. But it actually called a handler class. And I will show you what it is. So I'm going to repeat what is a class. So a class, a class, it's a template or a blueprint or a script or a piece of code that you write that will is the blueprint of something that you can, it's a blueprint that's something that you can print. Example, when you buy a house, you have the blueprint of what your house will look like. That's the blueprint. So the class will be the blueprint when you instantiate this class. So when you instantiate this class, that means when you create something from this class, you actually have physically the house. So when you have a trigger, and then it's linked to a handler class. And in the handler class, this is where you will put all your methods. And then obviously, because the second best practice of Salesforce is testing. You have to test every code that you write. So a trigger will have a handler class and will have a test class. So we covered that. So this is what it looked like. And I will show you in the dev console. So where it is, that's my trigger. And you can see my trigger, it's only a couple of lines and it's very easy to read. And that's my handler class. That is where you have all the information, and I will show you how to read it because you don't have to read all of it. I will show you how to search for the information that you're looking for. And then the test class, what are the best practice? And then with that, we're going to leave this PowerPoint, and then I'm going to show you in the developer console. And my developer console is here. Okay, so let me move this here. So as an admin, let me show you first as an admin. As an admin, you can check your trigger. Oh, let me move this. Okay, you can check where are your triggers in, my password. Oh, that's going to be interesting because I don't know. Okay, we're going to have to take the one from Red Woman because I think oh, this is bad when I don't know my don't know. It was resilient goat. Okay, let's find for resilient goat. Apologize for that, guys. I was prepared, but resilient oak. And my password. Okay. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry about that. Like today it was a shitty day, but it's gonna to be a shitty day the entire time. How can I do? Let me go to this red woman because I have another example that I could share with you.
You can reset your password, Erika.
Might take a long time. Okay, that's fine. I'm on the red woman. I will show you in the red org. Okay, so let's remove this one so I'm not. Okay, so before we had this like password issue, one way for you as an admin to check your triggers and to have like a list of all the triggers you have, you can go here and then you will go to the Apex trigger here. You will click and here you will see the list of all your triggers and some information. So that's the list of all the triggers that you have. And that's the percentage of your test coverage. So it's not very, very high. So that is one way for you to check. And then here we are on Apex trigger. You can do exactly the same to check on your class. So I'm going to do Apex class. And then it's the same. If we go to stock item, yeah, let's do this one. So here you will see the code. I definitely do not recommend you to just like edit it from here. The best way, and pretty much that's what developer will do, is we'll go to the developer console. So a trick is here on the developer console to open in a page next to your own page instead of another pop-up window. You just right click and you click open link in a new tab, and then you have it together. It's just sometimes it's easier, especially as you are writing and you want to know the API name, then it's just easier. And again, the API name is what you will put in your code. So that's how you have to check it. That's why it's good to have them next to each other. And well, perfect. Look, here you have an example of what is a trigger. And so as you can see, so I'm going to repeat the trigger. This first line, it's always generated at the beginning when you answer the first question, which is on which object am I doing automation or a DML. DML is like I insert, I update, I delete, or I undelete, and undelete is always after event. So after the record is saved, then you can unsave it, like you can undelete it. So when you, I'm just going to show you quickly, when you do a new Apex class or a trigger is this, sorry, I need to do a new trigger. I'm just going to re-show you this new Apex trigger. Where you will put the name of your trigger, you will put the object. Let me put an object that we don't have, asset example, so I know how to delete it later. Submit, you get that line. This is the first line that Salesforce will give you. You will have to update if you want a before event or after event, and you will have to check what you want to do. So if you want to, again, insert, update, delete, or undelete, there is an echo. So somebody can put themselves on mute.
Yeah, I'm just muting everyone.
Okay, all right, yeah. So sometimes it happens, but then it's difficult for everyone to hear it. So just that I cover on part one, but just for you to go, to remind you. So basically this trigger, in the real world, this line is just longer. You have before event, but then here you will have, you can put after event, and then here you can put like an update or after undelete. And you can undelete, yeah. And basically you can put all the events with the DML operation that you want to do. And that will be the first line of your trigger. So I'm going to delete it so we have something, oopsie daisy. Yeah, so we have something clean. And then here we're going to put the name of our class that we're going to call. Oh no, here we did something a bit different. We did an instantiation of our class. So again, an instantiation of our class, you will hear it a lot, because you hear it the instantiate of your variable or instantiate of the class. So again, instantiate of a variable, here we're doing it for a class, is basically when you put, this is the S object, so that is the data type. That's the name of your variable. And then when you instantiate, it's always new and the object or the data type of your variable, and then a comma. It's always this line. That's what it meant to do an instantiation. Why we do this is because the actual work, the actual automation is on the stock exchange, stock item handler, which is the class where you can see you have all the usual methods that you will have the work to be done. So the best practice is you don't put all of that. You do not put it in the trigger. You just put one line here. You put one line, and then all the automation will be into that in the class. So one of the benefits of having it like this is when you do have, especially for large firm, when you have like, I don't know, let's say 50 methods, it's very hard to look at the method and go scroll down, and then you get lost. The best way is when you go then to the trigger and you're like, okay, I'm looking for a before event. So you will go into the if statement and you will look for before, but then you can have if before, and then I can have another, you know, if, etc. Sorry, let's do like this. If trigger, etc. And then you will put after, and then you put all the method and the class that you did. So when you search for it, or when you are asked to update a trigger, you will put only one line, like this one, or this one, depending on if it's a before event, and depending if it's what DML operation you're doing, if you're inserting, updating, deleting, undeleting. So on the trigger, that's what it looked like, only one line.
So Erika, sorry to interrupt. Can you just tell what use case is behind it? Because little bit just to make everyone understand.
The use case stock item. I forgot where was.
I think the use case for this was that
when the stock, basically when we, okay, you know what? Let's read the code and I will tell you what was the use case. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's a good exercise. So basically, okay. That's the name of my class. So it's just telling me basically what it's important is that I'm looking at the stock item, and handler will tell me that, okay, that is linked to my trigger. Then you go, you don't have to read all of it. You go to the methods. So that's the name of one method. And by the way, everything that it's in brown is just comments. So you don't have, that means it's not compiled in the dev console. So it's not really code that it's doing something. It's code that is, it just text or line that you want to have, but you're not using. So that's the name of one method. And you will know because the method will start by public, private, global, void. That means it returns nothing, but sometimes maybe do I have one that returns me something void? the void. This one is returning me something. So here, here you have void, public void. That means it's not return me anything. That it also means I do not have the word return. So for instance, when you write and you put a void and then you're returning something, it's going to give you an error. And then the opposite, if you don't put void and you don't have that line, then you will get an error, because it's like you asked me to return something. Exactly what it's telling you here. Let me put it bigger. Missing return statement required. It's telling me I'm supposed to have a return that is a list of a stock item. And that's exactly what this method is telling you. It's telling it's public, it's static, so the data is not going to change. And then you are returning a list of stock item. So that's what you're returning. And then the name of the method, the best practice is that it should start by a verb. So get, what did I write before? I don't know. Does anyone, is it a verb that we say in English? Because I'm not sure. I know we say
what's the question?
A verb is how you say it in English?
Yeah, verb.
Okay, all right. Okay,
some
so
action, right? Action.
Voila. Okay. All right. So the best practice is every method should start with a verb. So it's easy when you look at the code to like, okay, that's the method. So this method is telling me that, okay, I want to have a list of stock item. And then the get is just like, get me this list. And so here, for the one that's, okay, sorry. I'm just, sorry, just hold on.
So I think in this program, we basically checking if the minimum stock level is greater than or is like a stock on hand is at least at minimum level, and if it is less, then it should show up in the low stock items list, right?
I don't know. So this is so here we are saying, so list of stock item is the data type of my variable. List of stock of low stock item is the name, and that is what is inside the variable.
So this
so
loop,
if we read, then it's saying that those are all the fields. You remember when I told you, oh, it's good to have the developer next to it, is because let's go to stock item. I didn't write it properly.
Stock.
Yeah, stock item. This is where you're gonna to look when you write your query. This is where you're gonna to look for the API name. You only use them.
The only API names, right?
Yeah. Okay. And basically here you will. It always start by the ID, and then you will put select all the fields that you want to see from which object, and then you can stop here, or you can put a condition. You can put many conditions. If you want to check a query, for the one who doesn't know, you go here. Can you see it on the query editor? This is where you will put it. And then here you execute. And then it's giving you the answer here. So that is one quick trick for you when you are writing or you want to test or understand what it does. Then basically my method here is going to return me those two lines. It's going to return me those two records. And that is just like that's the business case. We wanted to look for what are the low stock of items. We can understand it from the name of the method. Also, it's good when you work with developer that you have some system debugs. It's especially good for them to understand what the method does, because for me now that I can read the code, I don't need it. But if you are an admin, then you will not understand what it is. But just at least by reading the system debug, then you will understand. And again, to check a system, to get the information that you have a two-way of doing it. The first one, you can just, it's not the best one, but sometimes you do it. Sometimes I do it. You copy this, you will go to debug, open executive anonymous windows. What is this one? Oh, it's a different one. Okay. Different one. You just copy it. And then you will click execute. Void must not return. Okay, let me just remove this. Okay, it's gonna to open you another windows. And here, this is a lot of informations, but you just have to go to the debug only. And then here you will see there is 2 items that are low on stock, and those are the items with low stock. And then you can, just like look at all the information. So the system, the debug, it's very important to put, especially for admin or even as a developer. You write something and then 6 months later, you forgot what it was, why you did it. So the system debugs or the comments can help you greatly. So we did one method. We have one method, 2 methods. So basically all those methods should be referred into the trigger. But I think in this example, I did, so this one, let's look at this. This one is returning nothing, but it is inserting a new case. And then here it's doing an instantiation of a list of case. And then here, you remember when we were talking about the for loops, and this is a for each. And the way you know it's a for each is because you have the word in singular and then the word in plural. That's a for each. That means it's going to look through a list and look for every single item from that box or from that list, and then do something about it to give you, to remind you for the other iteration. It was for, and then you have the I equals 0, and then I name of list, yeah, and then I plus plus. Those are the 2 iterations that you can have. And then here we're saying if the item that we want to delete have a stock that is greater than 0, we want to create a new case. And that's what this new case will look like. Yeah, that's what's it. So basically, again, to look through the life cycle of the trigger is every method. So for instance, create case, if we should have this into our trigger. So let's go, this is before, and create, yeah, it's here. Okay, so all the methods that we will have on the handler will be in this trigger. And then finally, I'm going to touch into the test. But before I do that, does anyone have any question about the code, or if you want me to go through more of the code from the handler of the trigger?
Yeah, there was one question by Saurabh that what is the other method to debug other than anonymous block?
The other way of debugging?
Yes, Saurabh.
Yeah, it's stock in. You put the name of the class, dot the name of the, so let's see, I didn't put, so it's the name of the class, dot the name of the method. So let me go here. Those are the 2 ways of doing it. And then you do execute. And those are the 2 ways. So sometimes for me, I copied the text, but the other way is just to do it with the name of the class dot the name of the method. Yeah.
Also system.debug, also you can debug, right? Through that.
It's always into here, open executive anonymous.
Yeah. So
it's always here.
Yeah, anonymous block, other than anonymous block, we can do through system.debug, right?
Through
So
system.
if there's other methods to debug.
Okay, now okay. I understand. Sorry, I understand your question. When you do the debug, if you haven't wrote those lines, then it's not returning you anything, because you're not telling you I'm not using the right word. If you don't put, like, let me remove this line, because I don't have the system debug here. I have it commented, is not compiled. So when I will actually do the debugging, I'm not asking to print me this information. I'm not asking to print there is that many items that are low on stock. I'm not. So it's not giving me the information. So if you want to print something, if you want to debug, you must put system debug what you want to print, which best advice is to put in red or in I don't know, those things like this, to put in plain English what you're gonna to expect, and then the name of the variable. And so if I go back to my debug and I just do the same thing that we've done before, then I should only have one answer, because I removed the other system debug, you see? So it's very important, if you are debugging, what you have to put is the system debug, and then either copy all the code into the debug anonymous windows, or to put the name of the class dot the name of the method.
Yeah, there were two more questions, one from Daniel and one from Gaurav. Do you want to unmute yourself, Gaurav? You can go first.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. My question is when we should consider using trigger, because there are other options also possible, like workflow, process builder. What is the criteria to consider that this is the right use case to consider trigger?
So you should, before you do a trigger, you should ask if you can do that declaratively first. Because if you can do it, the best practice will be to do it declaratively, mainly because when Salesforce is doing the 3 times release, when they do those releases, they will cover everything that is done declaratively. So that means that your org is not going to be broken. So when you use a trigger, depending on how well it's written, you might enter the risk that the code will be broken by the release. So the best practice, as always, is to do a trigger. To go declaratively. If you can't go declaratively, then you will do a trigger and a class handler. For me personally, I work in a large company. We tend to do a lot of trigger, but that is because we're dealing with millions of records. So in terms of code performance and clean code, it's kind of the way we have to go. But if you are a smaller company, then I advise you, especially now with Flow, you can do a lot of the things you can do in trigger. So I don't have like a right and wrong answer. The best thing is if you try to do it with Flow, because now a Flow can also call a trigger and etc. But if you don't know, then I will tell you to ask the business analyst, and he should know, he should be able to guide you, or then talk to fellow colleagues and get their opinions. For me, to be honest, usually people tell me you need to do a trigger for this, and then I will do it. Yeah.
Is writing trigger is a better for performance, or it's like using declarative is better for performance? For example, the one which you said, I have both option. I can use workflow rule or I can use trigger, but I have decided to go by trigger. Will that make my code run faster, or will the declarative approach will be the right for performance reason?
To be honest with you, I can't really give you an answer, because it depends on the state of your org. It depends of. I'm not a business analyst. I can't tell you exactly why. But the best practice is to go declaratively. But then sometimes You can't go declaratively because you have too many records, because you have too many. When you look at one thing to consider for you, it's what's the name? Apex order of execution. Yeah. When I'm tired, I have very thick French accent. So you can go here, and then here, that's pretty much how you will take your decision. Is if you want to do some. I have a quick one. Oh, I forgot about it. Yeah. If you want to do an automation before a record is saved, then you have no choice than to do it on a trigger. Because on the flow or process builder, it's always after the record has been saved that it will trigger an automation. So that is one way for you to think. But basically, I can share that into the chat. That's the trigger. I didn't want the trigger. I want just Salesforce. I have somewhere in my documentation, I have the full, like what event, what if workflow validation rules start first, then you have workflow rule, then you have process builder, then flow, and etc. Here, basically, when a record gets created in Salesforce, that's the order of execution. Then pretty much depending on your business process, then you will say, okay, I want the automation to happen at that time. And that's how you're gonna to think, okay, I need to do a trigger, or actually I have the option to do it on a trigger.
That's excellent, Erika. Can you paste that link so
yeah, sure.
in the chat?
The chat.
Yeah, I think that should clear this.
Chat. Okay, here. Yeah. Chat. And now let me go to. Okay.
So you go to
And basically, I said it before, but whenever you have a question, and as a dev, you have a lot of questions, Google is your best friend, and the Apex Bible, how you call it, the developer Salesforce doc, that's your best friend because you have all the documentation and you can search for it. So here it's good. And for instance, if I didn't know what is, if I wanted to do like some trigger exception, for instance, it's a bad example because sometimes here, okay, perfect. Here it's talking about trigger and bulk request best practice. Here it's giving you an example. So, it's a good way. If you don't know where to start, you can find like, okay, I can start there and then I have some example on what I'm supposed to write.
Right.
Yeah.
There was one more question from Daniel. Yeah. Daniel, do you want to unmute yourself and ask the question?
Oh, sorry. I was just basically just reinforcing what Erika said about this, depending on the business process there, like doing it declaratively or then looking towards the trigger. Yeah, I wasn't asking. I was trying to help there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So if there is no other question, we're gonna to move to testing. Testing is very, very, very important. Normally, you should start by writing your test, then writing your handler, then writing your trigger. But let's face it, a lot of the developers, they write the test at the end. So let me show you here first to check how your org is doing. I forgot, but I think if you write test, then you have text. Okay, perfect. So here you will see the information about how is your org. No, thank you. Oh, basically, I don't have a lot of things here. So here I can run my my test and it's going to run it. It takes a little bit of time, but then it's going to give you like an understanding on how is, so that has that test has passed, and this one did not pass, like package coverage test. This one did not pass, and then you can view it here, and then it's going to tell you what's the error. And that's the okay. You will have to open it in the dev console, but I can show you how to check for the test coverage, and then you have the test history, and that's going to tell you what are the tests that you've done in the past, and it's going to give you the one that passed and the one that failed. So today 20h41. Okay, so those are like, let me show you here. Let me move this out. So this is pretty much like all the tests that has passed, and that is giving you a history. And then here you can see the test that didn't pass. And then for you as an admin, if you want to check and you don't want to go to the dev console, then you can go here, test execution and Apex test history, and it's going to tell you what exact test did not pass. And earlier I show you, so I'm going to show you again. If you go to class, Apex class, yeah, it's going to give you the overall percentage of your coverage. So for a class, it is 75%. You should always aim for 75% of test coverage. And for the trigger, it's a 1%. So combine, it's very important that don't think, oh, I do not test my trigger. You need to test your trigger, but it's only by 1%. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's because in the actual trigger, you're not doing any automation. It's all done on the class handler. So that is the main reason. But when you will push your trigger and your class from a sandbox to a prod, and then you do not have the test coverage, then it's not going to be possible. So for you to know, you have those 3 ways to go to the Apex class here, to the trigger class here, or go just writing a test as I did it. And then it's another way for you to test, to check as an admin. Otherwise, as a developer, usually what we do is we write a test class. The test class always starts by this annotation, is a test, and then you will give it the name of the class. It has to be the same name of the class, and then a test. It has to finish by test. The other best practice when we do testing is, the best way is to set up some dummy data. I was told that when I asked, oh, how many dummy data I'm supposed to do, you have the practice and the, oh, sorry, my phone. You have the practice and the theory. So in theory, they tell you to do 200 because then it's going to also check for the heap size governor limits. But then maybe in your org at work, you don't have that option. So you will have to go lower because of CPU something. I forgot what it is, but the best practice, try with 200. And then if you're having error because of CPU or something like this, just go lower, it's fine. But it's very important that you test with multiple records. Those are dummy records. So again, going back to what we saw in the part 1, here I'm just saying I'm doing an instantiation of a list of stock item. And then here I'm doing a loop of 200. So I want to create 1 record and then 2 record and 3 record, etc., all the way to 200. So here I'm doing an instantiation of 1 stock item. So here I have my list of stock item, and here I have 1 stock item. Pretty much here, if I touched it in part 1, but I was talking about bulkification. Bulkification, it's always, I forgot 3 or 4 steps, but first step is like you create a list, then you do a for loop, then you create 1 record, then you add the record to the list, and then you do a DML of this list. So you insert, update, delete, and delete. That is what a bulkification is. So when you create the metadata, just think a bulkification, you have 5 steps, and pretty much that's what they are. then to create the dummy data, I just created with 2 fields because I was lazy. But normal, if you have a validation rule and you have some field that must be, then you will have to put them here. And when you put the name, or you want to do some math later on your data, then it's that it's a good trick. It's to add the plus I. And that will allow you to have, like, for instance, here, my name would be test stock item 1, test stock item 2, test stock item 3. So you can, you have different name for all your records. So again, here we just like create a dummy data, and you will put test setup before your method. All methods in test class are private and static. So that it's easy, it's a given, you don't have to think about it. It's always private because it only works with the handler, and it's always static because it works with the handler. It's always void because it's not returning anything. It's just like checking what is returning in the other, what is returning or not returning in the handler. So those are just like things that you have to know, like those annotation is test setup when you create the dummy data, and then all the class, they are private and they are static and they are void. After you create your dummy data, sorry, I'm starting to be tired. When you create your dummy data, this is where you will have a method to test. That means that for every single method that you have in your handler class, you need one method from your handler class. We'll have one method for the test class. Sometimes you can even have one method on your handler class and have multiple methods in your test class. And I explain you why. Because you're supposed to check different context. One is like, if it's a positive context, if it's a negative context, that is like an example. So it's not uncommon that, for instance, you will have, I don't know, 5 methods in your handler class, but you may have 10 or 15, or there is no end for testing, to be honest. That's what I hear from the testing teams. But you can have way more testing method for the same methods in the class. So here we are gonna to test validate record name with no duplicate item. So that's the name of my method that it's in my handler class. It's always finished by test. This is like just like the naming convention. And then you have to say when it's a best practice again. It's a best practice to say when your test starts and when your test stop. Just because in terms of running the code, it's more performance. So he doesn't have to read everything. He's just concentrating on, okay, here is gonna to, what is gonna to do? Is gonna to create a new test stock items. Is gonna to create a list and then add one record. So let me tell you why we did this. Here we want to check that we have no duplicates. So I created a list of 200, a record, but I need to create another one because I want to check if it's a duplicate. So here I'm just adding a duplicate record and see what is giving me. So you remember here when I say it will be +1, +2, like the plus Y is +1, it's like going to be test stock item 1, test stock item 2. That's exactly what it does. So here I just put like, it's going to be test stock item 1. I put all the information that I needed. And then and that's what I'm doing on the before and during the start test and the stop tests. And usually that's all it is when you're gonna to insert a new dummy data just to check what it's gonna to do. And then you will always have like those lines, system asset or system system asset equals. Here on that case, it was a bit more complicated because I might bore you a little bit with that, but it's a good one. Because I have a validation rule that tell me you can't insert a duplicate, then I was testing if how many duplicates I will get, but I can't test that because I can't insert something that you can't insert. So I had to use this lovely piece of code that is basically called partial insertion. It really rarely happens. Maybe when you do with duplicate, it happens a lot, but otherwise, believe me, it's much simpler. It's just like doing like a system asset equal, and system asset equal is all the time the same. Here is like the assumption, so what you say it's going to be, and that is what it's going to be. So first you put a system asset equal what you think it's going to be, comma, and then the list of the variable that you want to check what it's going to be. And that's pretty much, this is where the testing is like really happening. It's going to give you the answer that you're looking for. So that it was for one test. And here we're just testing that, okay, how many test stock item do I have? And as I should only have one, because I have validation rule that apply that I can't do it. And then here we check a different case where I'm inserting a new record, but it's not a duplicate. And I'm just checking that indeed it is coming into the database. So it is inserted.
Hi, Erika, can we wrap up in a few minutes because the time?
But then it's the same. I was taking my time, but then it's always the same. It's like you insert, you do test start test, you put your record, you test stops test, and then you do system assert, and then you put what you think is going to be, what is going to be. To run a test, I'm going to go quickly. You click here on run test, you will go to here, and here is going to tell you what test failed or passed. So let me look here. Here we have one test. That's the test I just did right now. And then it's working. And this is all the, let's put it bigger. This is all the things that I've been testing in my test class. Another way for you to check is the code coverage. So here you can go to the stock item trigger. Stock item trigger, you have 100% coverage. The stock item handler has 100% coverage. That's another way for you to check. And the last bit is if you want to actually check what is being covered, you go to code coverage. Here you have none, but you can do stock item handler. You click, and then here you have 45%. And if you click, in what is in red is what is not testing, and what is in blue is what is tested. So that is one way for you to, like, if you want to improve, that's the way to do it, is to go through what is in red and then try to make it to test it. And so with those, with that, I think this is the end. I don't think I had anything else to show you. Let me see if I think it's
absolutely wonderful, Erika.
Yeah, I think it was that. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So Erika covered the whole deep dive into epics, and so now I'm going to be starting that quiz. We have 13 people joined in. Anyone else wants to join? Please join. It's like I'm going to be starting now. We are 28 people. If you want to join, last call. 1, 2, 3. Right? Is everyone ready? Okay. 40. Anyone else wants to join? Please see the code and the URL in the chat I've just given. Yeah, we have 16 people. Any other people want to join?
You can win a voucher.
Yeah. Erika, you can join if you want.
But no, it's no. I should give the credit for the author.
Yeah, let you take some rest. So 17 people, but we're still missing like 11. If anyone wants to join, I'll just start it now, right? I'm starting now. 1, 2, 3. Oh, am I sharing the screen?
You're not sharing the screen.
Okay.
Yes.
Right, I'm not showing any. All right, we have Kaldon at the top, Iyer second, Saurabh third, Dan fourth, Jana, Sudarshana third. Iyer is leading. We have a winner. All right. Still going. Still IR is leading. I would request you to put the full name. That way, it's easy to identify the person. All done. So the winner of the game was IR. Congratulations.
Well done. Well done. Okay.
Who's IR though? Can you speak up?
I think it's Irina.
Yep, that's me.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just found it in
okay.
your show.
Irina. Hi, welcome. So you're a familiar name to this group, so welcome. And I'm so happy you won. So can you email me?
Yeah, sure. Can you post your email?
Yeah, in LinkedIn, you are linked with me, right?
Yep. Yeah, I can message you on LinkedIn.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All
So,
right. As we say in the UK, I'm gonna to love you and leave you. All right. So have a good
yeah, Erika, thanks so much for taking out your time. And she was hard pressed, family situations, but great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Erika. Bye. Next up, we have Tim. So I'm not going to be sharing. I think I'll let him share the screen directly. But he's the director marketing of Inspire Planner. And one fun fact, he plays saxophone and won many competitions in Europe. Right? Tim, was I accurate?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Thank you. So
Hi,
I'll
everyone.
let you take it over.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. And first of all, Shiba, thanks a lot for organizing this wonderful meeting and for inviting me to present how you can manage projects directly in Salesforce. All right, so let me just start sharing my screen here with you. There we go. So first of all, just as a quick intro. So as Shiba mentioned, my name is Tim and I'm the Director of Marketing and Inspire Planner. And I joined the company back in 2016 when I was just again an external consultant for them. And then I joined them full-time last April during the COVID times. So that was exciting. And in general, I have about 10 years in marketing B2B software as a service companies. So last time, for example, I was the head of marketing at Transmetrics, which is one of the leading artificial intelligence companies for logistics. And then I switched to Inspire Planner full time, right? So in general, first, I'll just give you a quick overview of Inspire Planner in terms of slides, and then we'll just deep dive into the actual product. And I'll show you how easy it is to manage your projects directly in Salesforce. And of course, in the end, we'll just leave some time for the Q&A sessions, right? So just moving forward here. So in generally at Inspire Planner, we're simplifying project management in Salesforce. Again, our company originally, it was established in 2014, and we actually started just as a Salesforce implementation consulting company, and we were focusing on nonprofits back then. But for years, we've been searching for an effective Salesforce native app to manage our own clients. But unfortunately, there was little success. So everything we found on AppExchange back then were either the apps that were too expensive or they had way too many features that we didn't need. So in the end, we just decided, okay, so we're experts in project management and in Salesforce. So why don't we just put our talents together and develop this app that we're looking for? And hopefully there will be other people looking for something similar. And so that's what we've done after rigorous testing with our consulting clients. So we went live with Inspire Planner around 2019, and we've experienced a lot of growth within the app and a lot of positive feedback from the customers. Okay, so we actually have customers now all over the world, and the company itself is based in Canada, and we're an official Salesforce ISV4 partner. Okay, so as you can see, Inspire Planner is trusted by some well-known teams like NBC Universal, for example. So they're managing all of the movie releases and DVDs with the help of Inspire Planner. We're working with Zscaler. This is a public cloud security company, with an investment bank like Barrett, with PG&E, and so on and so forth. Okay, and in generally, our vision was to create a Salesforce native project management app that people would love to use. And we're passionate about making sure that our customers feel appreciated and supported. And as you can see, we're lucky to have over 100 reviews on AppExchange, where people are mainly focusing on how easy to use Inspire Planner, on the quality of our implementation and support team, and so on and so forth. So if you're interested, you can check us out on the AppExchange. All right, and then let me just jump into the product itself, because I think that's the most interesting part here. All right, so Inspire Planner itself, it's a fully native Salesforce application. Right? I'm pretty sure you all know what that means, and of course that there are a lot of key benefits to being a native app, but also from a front-end user perspective, we've tried to design the app to be as seamless and cohesive as possible with Salesforce, right? So essentially your Salesforce users, they'll have a hard time telling where Inspire Planner begins and where Salesforce ends, and vice versa. Okay, so in generally, to achieve this, we integrate with a lot of core functionality within Salesforce. Like, for example, you can see that we integrate with Chatter as part of the collaboration platform. And that's how your teams can communicate with each other, share messages, upload files related to the project, and so on. Then we also integrate with Salesforce tasks. So your teams are probably using this today for their to-dos, reminders, sending proposals, and so on. And within Inspire Planner, essentially, when you create and assign a project task to a user or a contact, then we would also automatically create the corresponding Salesforce task as well, right? So I'll show you how this looks and feels as we go through the demo. But the idea here is that if your users are not really interested in the overall project or in the Gantt chart, then they can simply work through their Salesforce tasks, and they don't even need to open Inspire Planner. Okay. Then from the reporting perspective, we're also utilizing native reports and dashboards from Salesforce. And on top of those front-end user benefits, you also get the back-end admin benefits of Salesforce as well, right? So you would administer Inspire Planner just the same way you administer Salesforce. So you can control what users see, how it's presented to them, who has access to which parts of the app by simply using profiles and permission sets, right? And of course, you can also use configuration to tailor Inspire Planner to your needs. And you can also use tools like Process Builder or Salesforce Flow to automate a lot of processes. Like you can, for example, automatically create a new project when you close an opportunity. You can create custom alerts. You can automatically assign tasks based on a role, and so on and so forth. Right. So I'll also show you some of this automation potential as we go through the demo. Now, once you install Inspire Planner into work, by default, it brings you into this Lightning homepage here, which means that it's fully customizable. So you can add your own components here. You can rearrange those that we have out of the box, and so on. And just to give you like a quick overview. So first, we have here our project portfolio component, right? And a portfolio is just a collection of projects that you've added yourself to the portfolio, right? So here we're able to select and view different portfolios where you have access to. And this in general just going to give you a nice high-level consolidated view of your projects, and as well as some KPIs if that's relevant to how you track them, right? So also, if you have different fields or attributes that you want to add to this component, that this is possible, and that's going to be just a simple Salesforce configuration that we've added. Then on this homepage, we also have some reports under the portfolio, right? And this is really just to demonstrate that we're utilizing those native reports and dashboards from Salesforce. Then on the right side, we're going to have our Salesforce tasks. So that's going to be a blended list of your personal as well as the project tasks that have been assigned to you. And then lastly, on the bottom right is going to be our chat feed. So a summary of all the messages, all the files, and everything shared across those different projects where you're involved. Now, from this homepage, I'll just jump into the projects tab. And essentially, that's going to be the place where you create and manage all of your projects and project templates, right? So as you can see, it presents us with this standard Salesforce tab layout. So again, just trying to create this seamless experience for Salesforce users, right? And since we utilize this native interface, then your users, they have the ability to create the different list views here. So it just gives you flexibility how you can, organize and filter all the projects that you're working on. So it can be, for example, be based on the status or based on the portfolio, based on the project owner, and so on and so forth, right? And again, since this is just a Salesforce interface, then you can also define the layout if you'd like. So that's our table view, but we can easily switch into the Kanban if you prefer the agile type of experience, or we can also go into the split view. So that's going to be a list of projects here on the left, and if you select any of them, it will load our interface on the right. Okay. And from here, I'll just quickly create a new project to show you this user experience. So first of all, it's going to prompt us to enter the project name. So let's just write San Raymond demo here. And then we have a couple of fields to populate, like project status, which is the standard Salesforce peak list field. So we can easily update those with different values just to align with your company's or organization's process. And also this page is fully configurable. So for example, many of our customers, they would also add a project stage field here just to complement this and to give you even more granularity in terms of reporting capabilities afterwards. Right? Then within Inspire Planner, we fully support project templates and functionality. So it's a very simple concept, and a template within Inspire Planner is just a project that you would flag here as a template. Okay, and if you flag it, then it's going to be available for you to search and select from the project template field right here. Right, so if you were to select any of the templates and hit save, then it will just create a new project for you based on the template. Okay, so it's very easy, but I'll skip this over for now because I'll show you later how we can automate this entire process. Now, also, as you can see, you can associate or relate your projects to any object or record in Salesforce, like we have account, opportunity, or case here. But again, since the app is fully native, then you can create additional lookups of fields here, and you can really associate it with any other custom object, for example, if you have. Okay. Again, through standard Salesforce configuration, so it's very easy. And then lastly, on the right, we just have some standard KPIs. So that's where the project manager would keep those up to date manually based on the current state of the project. Or you can also automate this process, again, through Process Builder or Salesforce Flow. Okay. Now, I'll just hit save at this point to launch our project planning interface. And for anybody that has experience with more traditional project management apps, so think like Microsoft Project or Smartsheet, or even Excel or Google Sheets, then this is going to be a very seamless transition in terms of user experience, right? So I'll just show you how easy and quick it is to create a project. Now, as one of the best practices, we'll just create the overall project as our first row here, and then we can just go through and start building different phases or stages of our project. So let's say it's going to be like planning, and I'll just add some tasks here, then design, and for example, build. Okay, so something generic here. And let's say we'll add some milestone. So once you have this task list ready, then you can just highlight those tasks, and we can start grouping and organizing them into different phases by clicking on this indent button. All right, so just like this, we can easily create our project structure, right? And there are no limitations in terms of how many nested levels you want to go deeper into the tasks. So I'm just going to keep it simple for the demo purpose, but in generally, you can build a very detailed structure if needed. And then you can roll up those children tasks into parents, into grandparents, you can expand it. So this structure is very flexible. Now, as a next step, you would go ahead and define the duration of your tasks, right? So under the duration column, we do support 4 different units. So it can be hours or days or weeks here or months. And then the app will automatically recalculate all of those durations for you, right? So I'll just quickly add some durations here. And then if you have a milestone that you want to create, then you would simply select a 0-day duration task, and it will show as this orange diamond here for you on the Gantt chart. Okay. Now, as a next step, instead of defining individual dates for your tasks, the best thing to do is to define your predecessors of those task dependencies, right? And one option is just to populate the row codes here, but that's a bit more complex, and maybe not everybody is familiar with this. So for this reason, we also have the simple drag and drop functionality right here on the Gantt chart, where you can just connect those tasks. And that's going to be a big difference between Inspire Planner and other project management apps on AppExchange, because we actually support 4 common types of predecessors. So on top of this basic finish to start that all the other apps are offering, you can also set up finish to finish type of relationship here. Okay, you can do start, you can do start, finish, and so on and so forth. All right. Let me just connect those quickly here. Here we go. And also Inspire Planner supports multiple predecessors. So for you, again, it's going to be just like a simple drag and drop here functionality, but the app will recalculate all of those complex dependencies for you. And if you have some conflicts, the app will just let you know. Now, the benefit of, oh, and by the way, you can also add lag time. So if you just double click on this orange square, you can specify either negative or positive lag time, and the app will update this for you again. So the benefit of having all of those predecessors now is that your entire project and all the tasks, they're now moving and operating as one cohesive unit. Okay, so let's say if there was some delay in task 1.1, then we can immediately see the effect of this delay on your entire project. Okay, and by the way, you can take it even one step further by utilizing constraints. So we have also this functionality where you can specify if the task must finish on a particular date, or it cannot start any earlier, and so on and so forth. So you can get really specific in terms of how you're sequencing those tasks. Okay. Also, just quickly to show on this user interface, we support features like critical path, for example. So the app will automatically highlight all of those tasks that are on your project critical path. And then you also have the baseline functionality. Right? So just at the beginning of the project, you can set up a baseline. So just a snapshot of your original project plan. And if you click on this icon here, you can immediately see those details right here in the Gantt chart. Okay, so again, if anything changes within our project, then you can immediately see how it deviates from your original project plan. Okay, and of course, there are some reporting fields like start variance, finish variance, slippage percentage. So you can just run those reports and identify some key trends and key bottlenecks that you see across your projects. So something that you need to work on to improve your performance. All right, so as you can see, we have our project now, our tasks. So the entire schedule is updated automatically. So afterwards, you can just go ahead and assign the work, and it happens under the assign to column here. And just want to show you that within Inspire Planner, you can assign tasks to either your Salesforce users or also your Salesforce contacts and queues. So contacts would, for example, be your partners, your customers, your subcontractors, maybe, and you can assign work accordingly to them as well. Okay, so I'll just quickly search for John, who is our user. So we'll assign tasks to him. And I'll quickly search for Elon. So Elon Musk, he's not obviously part of our Salesforce org, so he's going to be our external contact here. Okay. And as I mentioned, the act of assigning those tasks to your Salesforce users or contacts will automatically create a corresponding Salesforce task, and it will also add those people to the project team. So afterwards, you can just check off boxes from here to assign those tasks faster. Right. So just like this, we can assign tasks. And as you can see, this is the user interface that is mainly designed for your project managers. So people who need to see the entire project, the Gantt chart, all the dependencies, and so on. But your individual resources, they might be more interested in just their individual tasks. So for this reason, we can just go into the standard Salesforce task tab, because they can see all of their project tasks right here in front of them. And just as in the projects tab, again, the nice thing about this is that your users can create different list views of their tasks just to slice and dice them as much as they would like. And again, they can define the layout. So it can be the split view, or you can go into the Kanban, into the table, and so on and so forth. So here, I just want to show you some of the additional components that we've added to the standard task environment here, just to enhance the collaboration aspect for your teams. Now, as you can see here, we have this predecessor and successor custom component that we've added. And this is going to show me exactly which tasks I'm waiting on before I can start working on my task 3.1 here, and also who is waiting on me to finish before others can start their work, right? So the idea here is that even if I don't have access to my overall project here, so maybe it's for security reasons, or maybe I simply don't know how to read this information from the Gantt chart, then by looking at this component, I can clearly understand how I'm integrated into this entire project and what depends on me, okay? Also, you don't need to go and manually check if those guys have completed their task here, because we've added this functionality called ready to start. So the app will automatically identify if those predecessors have been met and if the task is ready to be started. So if it is, then this checkbox is going to be flagged for you, and you can create some custom alerts and reminders to your employees based on this, or you can also create a list view of those tasks that are ready to start. So it's going to be very handy for your employees. Okay. Now, also here you can see all the additional information from our app here, like information about effort, cost, for example, and so on and so forth. And if there was any issue with those tasks, then first of all, you will see it from the LED indicator here, which might be yellow or red, depending on the number of days the task is overdue. Or you can also launch Chatter directly from here. So you can just communicate with your team, just like as you would do in Chatter. So you can say, hey, John, what will you be done here, for example, and you can tag your project manager as well, saying that you need some help, and so on and so forth. Okay, so right from here, you can start working together as a team. And if you just quickly go back into the project, then I'll show you that within the project interface, you have this chatter icon on the left side. So that's going to be your entire chatter discussion for the project. But there are also those individual task level chatter icons as well. So here you can have the discussion just about this task, and you can attach documents, files, for example, and so on. Okay, and then if you add this chatter component on a task layout, you can see this entire discussion right in front of you on the Salesforce task layout. Right? So that's how internal Salesforce users can interact and work on those project tasks. But as you remember, we've also assigned some tasks to your Salesforce contacts, right? So what you can do here, you can also add those contacts as collaborators. So I'll just quickly search for Elon, right? And we're going to give him only viewer permission level. So collaborators cannot be editors, I mean, external collaborators. But then you can select whether to share the entire project with them or assign tasks only. So let's say we select assign tasks only, and we'll share this project with this person. So this will send an email to this person with a link to our external projects portal. Okay, so essentially, this is just our secure custom built portal that we've developed based on Heroku. So also part of Salesforce ecosystem, and all your data still stays inside of Salesforce, right? And then your contacts, they will just create a simple username and password here. And once they log in, they'll see a list of all the projects that have been shared with them. So we can see our San Raymond demo here already. And once you open the project, they'll be able to see a real-time view of your project, which is similar to what you had in Salesforce, right? And the Gantt chart. And of course, you can hide planned or actual effort if needed. But then also on top of being able to see this project in real time, your external contacts, like for example, your customers, they can click on this icon to list their Salesforce tasks. Okay, and at this point, they will be able to update the status of their task. They can add actual effort, if needed, and leave a short description for your project manager. So for example, we've worked on some presentations, and now all of this data will be automatically synchronized with your project in Salesforce. Now, the nice thing about this is that there is no additional cost for you. So these external contacts, they do not require Salesforce or Inspire Planner licenses, and you can share it with as many contacts as you want. Right now, this functionality is also available out of the box, so there is no complex setup needed. All you need to do is just click on this icon to add them as a collaborator. Right now, let me just show you this automation potential. So what this end-to-end automation process can look like for you. And I'm going to be using an example of a sales opportunity here, but it can be applied to any other object that you have in Salesforce. Right? So that's just what we've configured here in our demo org. Now, as you can see, there are no projects that are related to the opportunity yet. So I'll just move this opportunity to the closed won stage. And this will trigger an automation, which is just a process flow that will automatically launch a new project for us based on a specific customer onboarding template. Okay, so as you can see, our project was automatically created here, and we can just open it. And as you can see, of course, this is a very simple example, but you can make it much more sophisticated if you'd like. So you would just use a process builder, and you can define different criteria. You can launch different templates. You can stitch multiple templates together, and so on. Okay. And by the way, before I move on, I see that there are some chat messages. I don't see them on my screen, so we can just leave them for the Q&A session. Okay. Now, here, as you can see, so this project was just created for us automatically. So it just created a direct copy of my template for me. And we have all the documents that we commonly use throughout our process already pre-attached to this project. We have all the phases, all the tasks, all the predecessors have been set up for us in advance. So now literally all I need to do to get started here is just to go into the first task and update the starting date. So for example, today, right? And then it will cascade everything down for me, right? So at this point, this is just a living and breathing project for you here. So if needed, you can update the durations, for example. You can drag and drop some tasks. You can update some tasks if needed, and so on and so forth. So at this point, it has nothing to do with your template anymore, and this is just a standalone project. Okay? What we've also done in this template is we've predefined some common roles, like project manager, business analyst, and a couple of others. And again, this is just a tick list field, so we can easily update those values to align with your process. So if you do this in advance, if you predefine those roles, then now you can go into the team tab, and we can simply specify who is going to be working on this particular project. So let's say I'm going to say that John is going to be my business analyst, and I'll just click Save New to add myself as well as the project manager here. Right? And as you can see, you can also assign here not just the users, but contacts or queues as well. Right? And then if we go back into our project schedule, let me just reload this quickly. So you'll see that this will trigger another pre-built automation that we have, and it will automatically assign all the tasks in our project based on those resource roles. Right? So you can just save time and make your process much more efficient and essentially assign all of those tasks automatically instead of doing this manually. Right? Now, another cool feature that we have within Inspire Planner is the time tracking functionality. So if you remember, we've defined the duration of our tasks, but if you scroll over, you'll also see some information like planned effort and actual effort. So the planned effort is going to be essentially the budgeted time. It's going to take our resources to complete the work, and you can just specify some hours here, right? And the actual effort is going to be a roll-up from your time tracking entries. Okay, so let me show you quickly. There are 3 different ways how you can track time. Okay, now if you go back into the Salesforce task, first, you'll see our automated stopwatch component here. So you can simply click Start to get it going. And then you can go work in different tabs here, right? Like do whatever work you need to do. And once you get back to it, this component is still going to be working for you. So now we can stop it. We can continue it if needed. We can also manually adjust it, for example, and then you can log time accordingly, right? So this is the first way. The second way would be to add this time tracking tab to a task layout. And here you would simply select the day, you would hit new entry, and you can easily log time here accordingly, right? And of course, you can add some custom fields here as well if needed, since the app is fully native. Right, so this is going to be the second way, and you can switch between daily and weekly view. But we all know that some people prefer to log their time at the end of the day or end of the week, right? So for this reason, we've also added this time tracker tab here. And this is going to give you more of a bulk type entry interface. So on the left side, you'll see the list of all the projects where you have tasks assigned, and you can expand them if needed just to see the details of those tasks like effort, dates, status, and so on and so forth. And then on the right side, you'll have more of a bulk type entry interface, right? So you can just go ahead here and enter some times quickly, and then you would click save to log this time accordingly. And so as you can see, again, very easy. Now, another one of the major features within Inspire Planner will be the resource allocation functionality. Okay, and this functionality, it starts from resource attributes. Now, an attribute is simply just a tag that you want to assign to your resources, and the types we have here are certification, expertise, skill, and region, but you can easily create your own attributes as well if needed. Okay, and once you create an attribute, you can easily assign it to your Salesforce users or your external contacts as well, like your customers. And you can do it either from this attribute side, or you can go into the resources, and then you can select a specific resource, like, for example, Karen, my colleague here. And then you'll be able to see a list of all of those color-coded attributes that are assigned to her, as well as you can specify the hourly rate. If you want to automate some budgeting information afterwards, you can specify working hours per day here, and then a couple of additional fields then you can customize as well if needed. Okay, so once you're ready with the attributes, then you can actually start using the resource allocation. Okay, and this functionality, it allows you to view the resources that have been assigned to your project tasks as well as their capacity. Okay, so with this feature, you can easily see whether your resources are over or under allocated, and it helps you find the available resources for your upcoming projects or upcoming tasks. Right, so here, you can just easily filter your resources by those resource attributes that we've just looked at, right? And then, so on the left side, you'll see your resources, and on the right side, you'll see their allocation. So you can just easily hover over here to see the tasks that they're working on, was their availability, how many hours they are over or under allocated, and so on and so forth. You can also expand any of those resources just to see the details and a list of all of those color-coded tasks that they're working on, as well as the name of the project that the task belongs to. And you can even open the project right here if needed. Okay. Also, directly from this view, you can create booking tasks for your resources. Like, for example, if there is some upcoming project that you expect to start soon, right? Then you can just click on this blue icon and you can create those booking tasks. So, for example, it can be opportunity ABC, and then we would schedule this as a future project, right? That's the same way how you can track vacations, PTO, maternity leave, and so on and so forth. And those booking tasks, they'll be highlighted for you in a different color, so you can easily distinguish between those booking tasks versus regular ones. Okay. Now, also just to quickly show you, so currently we're looking at this in hours and on a daily perspective, but if needed, we can switch into the percentage allocation, and we can also switch between weekly or monthly views here. Okay. Now, the two last major features that I would like to show you today would be the portfolios and reports and dashboards, of course. So in terms of portfolios, so that homepage component that I showed in the very beginning, it reads the information from this portfolios tab. Okay, and as you might remember, a portfolio is just a collection of projects that you've added to the portfolio itself. Right? So portfolio really can be anything. It can be a portfolio based on your project owner, or it can be a portfolio based on some specific account, or it can be based on a specific geographical region where you operate, and so on and so forth. So it's very flexible. And you can easily click to select some projects here, and you would just quickly search for it and just add it here through the checkbox. Okay. So within the portfolio, you can just define columns that you want to show here. All right. And then you will see all of your KPIs that are relevant to you. And on the right side, there's going to be this one common Gantt chart showing the performance on all of those projects. Now, at this point, you can also expand any of those projects, and this will easily show you the list of all the color-coded milestones that you've defined within your projects, right? So especially for the management, it's going to be very easy to understand how you're doing with those projects, so what the performance looks like. And if you want to dig deeper into details, then you'll just click on this icon to open the project in a new window. Okay? And from here, as you can see, you also have the ability to change the background color of the project. So maybe you want to group them in some color, or you just want to highlight it for your team to show that there is some issue here. And if needed, you can just drag and drop those projects for your own kind of prioritization or visualization needs. Right? So that's in terms of the portfolios here. Now, probably the last major part of the app that I would like to show you today would be reports and dashboards, right? So again, all your data, it sits inside Salesforce. So we can just leverage those standard Salesforce reports and dashboards. But of course, there are some Gantt reports that are coming out of the box with our app, right? So just to give you a quick high-level perspective on different types of reports you can run here. So it can be first of all, we'll look at the resource manager dashboard. So we can see our resource allocation by project, or we can see resource allocation by month, right? And there are also some reports about your overdue tasks. So you can filter them by the number of days they're overdue or by the resources. And you can also easily see the assigned tasks by the resources. And so, of course, you can customize those reports as well if needed. So you can just copy them within your org, and then you can start customizing them down. Now, on top of the resource manager dashboard, we also have the portfolio manager dashboard as well. So here you can see the information like upcoming projects by month, or how does your portfolio pipeline looks like. Also, you can see the project budget summary. So to compare how many projects were on budget versus over budget. The same goes about effort utilization. So how many hours on budget versus our budget were there, as well as the schedule performance and slippage summary. So schedule performance means how many projects were late for you, and slippage percentage means like also how many days it was over the planned amount of days here as well. So you can see all of this information within the standard reports and dashboards. Right? So again, as you can imagine, this is just like a high-level perspective here, but the reporting itself is very robust, since you can use all of your data that is available within Salesforce. Right? So I think those were the major parts of the app that I wanted to go through today, kind of as a quick demo here. But now, Shiva, I think it would be a good time to go through the Q&A session, and just if you can read those questions that you have, that would be appreciated.
Sure. So Calden, he asked how projects is tracked if assigned to queue, if nobody accepts ownership of the task assigned.
That's a great question. So essentially, again, since the app is native, you can just set up some additional notifications or reminders, and you can create some rules that you would like to define within your org. So for example, if nobody picks up the task within like 1-2 days, then you want to send them a reminder or notification to this queue, or also to the project manager. So the project manager can take a closer look and actually contact those people within the queue.
So Calden, I hope your question is answered. Then the other question is it possible to prioritize tasks in Spire Planner?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is a column called priority. So you can just adjust it to like high, normal, and low. Or if needed, you can also update this field pretty much. But that's the typical what our customers are using.
Right. And then Louis has 3 questions. Louis, would you want to unmute yourself, ask yourself?
Sure.
Hi, Louis.
Okay, so my question is that is there any way to review and approve the timesheet entry logged by the project member before it's accepted?
That's actually a great question. Currently, we do not offer this out of the box, and of course, you can set it up this approval process yourself. But that's the feature that we're working on currently. So it should be available as part of our next release in summer 21.
Yeah, thank you. And another one is, can you share a little bit about the project grid and the billing feature?
Okay, sure. So some of those tabs essentially are just like the tabs that we've configured in our demo org. And for example, risk and issues is one of those. And here what we've done, and that's actually what most of our customers prefer to do, we've integrated this with Salesforce case functionality. So essentially, you can just track those risks as part of those Salesforce cases, and you can track all the information there, and it's going to be related to the project here. So that's going to just like one of the best practices that we've noticed from our customers. But of course, if needed, you can just create another custom tab, and you can configure this in any way you would like to. Okay. The same is for billing. So we do not offer invoices out of the box as functionality because companies are just doing this in so many different ways. So we prefer to focus on essentially on those 20% of the core features that cover 80% of the projects, and we prefer to utilize Salesforce configuration for the rest. So you can have all of this configured to your exact needs, right? So here again, this is going to be just like a very standard object that we've added here. I mean, by standard, it's our custom object that we've added here, but this is just like very basic functionality here that you can improve based on your needs, and you can just configure it to meet your requirements.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
And then I think Sunil has a question. How do you set up recurring tasks?
That's another great question. So out of the box, we do not offer recurring tasks yet, but you can easily just copy and paste all of those tasks by pressing like Control-C, Control-V, and you can just easily paste all of those tasks, right? So for example, you can just paste all of those rows. Okay.
And then Anandi says, can you explain about the change management tab?
Sure. So again, this is just like the tab that was configured for the demo org, where once again, this is just like an example of what it could look like. And then you can easily update this for your exact needs, right? So we're just kind of showing you some of the potential here. And then during the sales process, we go through the requirements of our customers. We schedule another follow-up call with the technical person where we just discuss all of those requirements. And then during the implementation phase, we can help you configure the app to meet your needs. Right? So change management, for example, is one of those functionalities.
And Sunil, would you like to go through some of the questions?
Yeah, Tim, thanks. A nice demo. Like we've been using Inspire Planner, but came to see some more of the features that you are showing over here in the demo. So it's pretty informative there. Do you have any kind of best practices guide for people? I know every use case will be different by different clients. And I know you've configured some stuff right now, a little bit like invoices and all. Any kind of link that you can share for the best practices guide so people get started out?
So typically for all of our customers, we have this implementation process, which includes the standard onboarding. So that's like a standard onboarding is 8 hours, where we spend 4 hours on app setup and customization, and also 4 hours on the user training. So that's kind of train the trainer approach, where we go through all the functionality, all the best practices from our experience, also our data models, so that you're comfortable with the reports and dashboards and so on. So essentially, when we onboard customers, we go through this process. But also, as you can see, there is this Inspire Planner Help tab, which automatically logs you into our knowledge base. And I just have too many logins, so I'll just enter help.inspireplanner.com to go through here, right? And essentially, here you can just find a lot of how-to guides, and most of them here will have, well, actually all of them will have just like step-by-step instructions with some screenshots or even some video guides available. So for example, I just opened, how to configure this process flow to automatically create projects from opportunities, something that I showed you during the demo. And so as you can see, there is like entire video going through this, and also just like step-by-step instructions with screenshots. So even if you don't have much of Salesforce experience, you will still be able to configure all of this, right? So now, depending on the topic you're looking for, you can just go into this knowledge base, and essentially you can just use search to find the feature that that you need and find some of the explanation and best practices there.
Right. And so like how often do you like push the releases through? Like same with Salesforce releases?
Yeah, that's a great question. So typically we follow the Salesforce release schedule. So we have around, on average, we have about 2 to 3 major releases per year where we add additional functionality like release and bug fixes and so on. And we also have a lot of maintenance releases throughout the year just to fix some small issues that we became aware of.
Right.
But yeah, typically you can expect 2 to 3 major releases with updated functionality for the app.
Got it. And all the dashboards and reports that you showed, they're like standard or they're like more for the demo purposes right now? Kind of thing.
No, those dashboards, they come out of the box together with the app. So essentially you have those 2 dashboards. And also if you go into the reports, essentially, so if you just open all folders, there will be a folder for Inspire Planner reports. And then you'll just see a bunch of reports again that come out of the box together with the app here. Okay, so you can just easily use those. And you can, of course, you can copy them again, and you can just start customize them if you want to change anything there.
All right. Yeah, and also can you just show back the invoice tab again one more time, like you were showing there? So I know it's like, it is like, it's for any person, like you are allocating a resource and you can bill it from there. So I know we can customize and add some more stuff based on the company, but technically like the information will be pulled automatically. The hours might be pulled automatically from, it can be pulled directly from the project too, right? Kind of thing?
That's correct. That's correct. Since all of this just lives inside your Salesforce, all of this data, then we can easily integrate all of this information. But again, the invoicing functionality is not something we typically prefer to offer out of the box. So we can either help you customize this, or oftentimes our customers would just have their financial systems and we'll just integrate with this for invoicing capability.
Right. So basically, other option would be like to integrate with the QuickBooks and NetSuite on other side.
Exactly.
And it can just throw the hours out to that system and it invoices from the other system.
Yeah, and you can also create some automations, of course, but again, using Process Builder or Salesforce Flow, so you can just configure some automations there. And again, this is just because our customers typically prefer to manage the invoicing through some other systems. So oftentimes we just integrate with those.
Yeah, just a basic one. I said just for for talking about a smaller company, they just want to do some invoicing. So for them, they don't need bigger integration only for that reason, kind of thing.
That's correct. Yeah.
All right, I guess that's it. I guess we can always catch all of you later on with it is a pretty good demo overall to see this.
Great.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Tim and Sunil and everyone for attending. And
thanks a lot for giving this opportunity. Thanks a lot for everyone for staying here. So it was my pleasure.
Yeah, and so we are 15 minutes ahead of time. So I don't know if anybody wants to network or chat in general, or can we have a group picture if everybody can turn on their camera?
I think that Tim can play some music right now.
Yeah, there was a popular demand. So if everybody can share, turn on the camera, we can take one picture.
I guess a lot of people have left, but anyway, so.
Yeah, a lot of people left, I guess, after the quiz.
Sorry, I cannot turn on. It's very late here, so the dark.
Oh,
4 a.m.
Where are you from, Louis?
From Vietnam.
From where?
Vietnam.
Vietnam. What time is there, Louis, right now in Vietnam?
It's nearly 4 a.m.
4 a.m. Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Thanks a lot for staying so early for our presentations. I really appreciate this.
Appreciate your commitment.
Actually, I'm getting inspired by the project management tool. I have been looking for some, actually.
I think Sunil can talk about. He has used it. We have used it for two orgs, and the other org, the other people were also very impressed by the functionalities. That's why I thought it would be helpful for the Ohana to know about this wonderful tool.
Well,
So
the tool is relatively new, to be honest, because we've been really offering it commercially since like 2019. So probably not so many people yet know about us, but we've gained a lot of traction. And even during the COVID times, like we actually started to get even more customers, when people started to work remotely and so on. And actually, one more thing that we forgot, Shiba, is that we've promised these bonus to all the attendees, right? So typically at Inspire Planner, we offer a full 30-day trial available, so which you can just install from the App Exchange. And the trial is not limited, so you have access to all the functionality, and you can give access to as many people as you want from your org. But specifically for the attendees of this user group meeting, we're happy to extend this trial to 60 days. So if you're interested, you can just install it from the App Exchange, and then you can either contact me on LinkedIn, or you can just send an email to sales@inspireplanner.com, and we'll be happy to extend the trial for you.
Right. So is there a link that they can go to for that extended trial?
So I'll just send you now within the Zoom chat. I'll send you the link to our App Exchange listing, and then you can just install it from there. Yeah, and you can just afterwards message us at sales@inspireplanner.com, mention this user group meeting, and we'll extend the trial for you.
All right.
So I send the email within the chat as well.
I'll do this follow-up, and then whoever RSVP'd, RSVP is fine, right? Whoever RSVP'd.
Yeah, we're happy to extend it to them as well.
Hi, can I just have the class question?
Yes, please.
So do you guys have any experience apply this for non-profits customer who use the PSP package?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, we do love supporting nonprofits. So as I mentioned in the beginning, we started ourselves as a Salesforce implementation partner, and we were focusing exactly on nonprofits. And currently, we're happy to let you know that our company supporting Pledge 1%, and we're actually offering nonprofits 10 free licenses for their org. So they just need to send us any official document proving the nonprofit status, and then we're happy to enable those 10 free licenses for them.
Yeah. So it's worked very well with the NPSP package.
Yeah. It does, since this is just a native app.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. So we can, I think, give back 10 minutes of everybody's time back to you, right? Because we've done this session, and I think it's pretty late for some of the people here. So I'll let you catch up on your sleep. And yeah, hope you all benefited and enjoyed the session. And nothing to declare for next time, but keep a lookout on the next session. Most likely going to be another developer or App Exchange product session. Yeah. So thanks everyone, and I'll have a great weekend and enjoy your rest of the weekend. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everyone.
Thank you, Luis.
Thanks everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Good.